Dear diarrhea. Diarrhea full of shit. Just play like me, myself, and I. No one else. You know, so legit. It's raining. It's peaceful. It's a light rain. It usually is out here. I've lived in this house for 3 years. I've only experienced one thunderstorm where it was lightning close enough where, you know, it would thunder and sometimes kind of wake you up. It was at night. As a kid, I remember experiencing a lot more at night and during the day. When I was on the road, I didn't a whole lot at night. I mean, you know, I'd every now and then, and of course, when I was driving, you know, the occasional storm. But anyway, I wish it rained more in Colorado. But I was charging my phone that I've got there called like the lightning chargers or whatever, which I guess it's actually the charger, not the phone. Again, I could check the googly boogs, but it seems like I guess it depends on the output. You know, if you plug it into a wall socket versus a car cigarette adapter, then just how many times it's got to change forms and whatnot. But I guess that technology would be in this square. Maybe I'll look that up just out of curiosity. It's my new phase in life, curiosity. Again, it must be fate because, you know, when hashtag fam life is in full swing, number one, I will, whatever, instill curiosity in our offspring, or spawn, or kids. So I can't instill that if I don't have that myself. Actually, I probably could. Because I'm different. Boy, you must be the curious motherfucker in the world. I don't give a shit about anything. But anyway, so yeah, how do chargers work? But I forgot to mention that when I was saying, you know, electricity is molecules arranged in a certain way that has to flow through wires. You can't flow it through air, but the magnetic chargers for phones. And I've got some small ones that don't work worth shit, and I got a big one that works real good, and it's actually got like a little fan in it, and the other ones don't. So it's obviously hyped up to the point where it needs a fan to keep the parts cool. And what are those parts? Some sort of a supercharger, so to speak. And it charges quick. Uh, and then them other cheap ones I bought don't hardly charge at all. Because I've got extra backup shit, you know, and all that stuff. But that magnetic again, it's I didn't read this anywhere, but this has to be the way it is. An arrangement of molecules, you know, positive and negative, and that's like what a charged battery is. You know what I mean? And then, you know, some batteries just have one cycle, others are rechargeable. I don't know if that's different material inside, but the concept, as far as I know, is, you know, it's, I mean, everything is molecules. Everything, you know, like I said in my other thing, audio presentation, you know, the body is cells. And the cells have instructions. They're quote unquote smart, but a very, very, very low level of smart. And your body is made up of these individual cells, and that's what makes your meat suit. And like I said, the brain is the circuit board, but then you've got like a soul, whatever you call it, underneath that. Um, you know, and how that's quantified and interacts with the world and the universe. So, um, but in the meantime, you know, you reside in a meat suit. It functions a certain way. It needs things to survive. You know, your blood, oxygen, food, everything that you need to live with that quantified in the way that it's quantified, because everything has to be quantified somehow at the end of the day, basically. I'm pretty sure has to be. So that's what's up. And but yeah, that magnetic shit that's what happens. It those molecules are buzzing around and they lose their energy and then they just sort of like sit down and chill, and the magnetic charge, that or whatever, that electricity. I mean, it's not magnetic, I don't think. It's not. You know what I mean? You just set it on there, but it like goes. It has to go through the plastic. You know what I mean? It's not a plug with conductive material on other conductive material that's transferring that energy. Again, this is like stuff like that. I mean, again, you need to be careful. Everything. I mean, even when I was a little kid, when I used to go to libraries and stuff, I would think to myself, how accurate you think most of this shit is? Probably all of it, probably. But there might be some misinformation. There might be some propaganda. That's been a thing, over the years in countries. Not so much in America, but, now again, modern times, everything has a flip side. More complicated, complex something is, more prone to failure. So we got great technology and magic air that's designed, built, and maintained by people. And, well, you got the Bens and the fucking Bryans of the world with that fucking small dick energy doing what they fucking do. Has anybody else noticed, dear online family and friends, that there is, all of a sudden, they've decided to clean all the whales of the world? Yeah. And they're finding giant starfish and shit like that. And it's like, it looks pretty fucking real. It's like, I don't know if it's spliced with real people or if those are AI generated, because, like I said, they're not quite there in audio and visual, of humans, the deep fake and all that stuff. They're getting there. They're getting there. And it's happening whether you want to or not, Like they used to use Joe Rogan as an example because some dude, for good or for ill, bad, whatever, like, got a computer to regenerate Joe Rogan's voice. And, I had said, yeah, it's only a matter of time before, Joe Rogan will be on camera, fucking a goat. Or pushing over a little old lady, or stealing a car. Everything has a fucking flip side. And the more complex something is, more prone it is to failure. Enter humanity. There's some, animals out there, dolphins, elephants, shit like that, that are complex. They don't have, like, IQ like humans do. And remember, the IQ is just a toolbox. So, IQ don't mean you're smart at all. So, and you either understand that or you don't. And like I've said before, humans having the capacity, you could be like a hotshot booger snot, you work with NASA, or you're a doctor, lawyer, or whatever. Your IQ is very important, to what you do for a living and contribute to the world. Because everybody works for a living, you trade your time for money, and it kind of works out that way. Like I said, back in the day, you used to farm and stuff, and it was, more low-level, harder work. These days, there's a lot of, it just is what it is. So unfortunately, work takes up a lot of people's time, so you think you're a wonderful, husband, father, brother, family man, and all that stuff, but you're lacking. Your kids are failing in school. They're not getting the guidance and attention and the appreciation that they need from their parents. Or maybe they are from one but not the other, and things can fall apart. And the wife's cheating on the mailman, the milkman, and the pool guy. But the husband's oblivious to it because he's providing a good life. They take 5 vacations a year, to foreign lands. and you know, everybody's got a nice car, you know, and blah blah blah. You got to be, you know, they're not doing the family thing. They're not raising human beings. They're going to be able to sustain their happiness, or at least, you know, maintain contentment, spliced in with moments of happiness. And you know, contribute to the world. And that can be very, very simple, you know. Just maintain a job, you're producing money, you know, for the economy, you're making money, you're spending money, and you're not causing harm to, you know, society. That's really it. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I just want to make absolutely sure that everybody knows how smart I am. That's all. I forget to mention shit a lot. You was on the topic, you know, of electricity and molecules and energy flow from one point to another, being transferred from one source to another. You know, again, you know, like Mike Rowe, you know, every time you enter a room, turn on a light switch, you know, all the stuff that goes into it. No, I do, and I always did. You know, just like I've said it before, I'll say it again real quick. You know, you know, plastic was biomass. It was turned into plastic. It can't ever go back. It can turn into dust, but it's just plastic dust versus wood and even metal, you know, because the elements, it came from a mine, and eventually, as far as I know, it'll turn back into earth. But plastic, apparently something happens. Plastic is plastic forever. And so's rubber, I think. Pretty much all petroleum products, as far as I know. Once you refine them and change them. So energy never goes away, it just changes form. You know, biomass, fuel, fire, smoke, exhaust, whatever. What we got is what we got, be it here on Earth or the universe. Now, there's stuff that's, you know, unknown and undiscovered, no doubt. But, yeah, coal, you know, like this electricity that I'm, you know, that's being used in my battery. And again, now it's energy, and now it has to be used and transferred, you know, and changed, you know, into something. Um, you know, that may have started as, you know, up in a power plant in Wyoming, you know, yesterday, and then it was turned into electricity, came through the wires, and I don't know. Again, I'll have to look into that. You know, it goes to these, like, I don't know, substations, and maybe it's stored there. Is it a constant flow? You know, like the energy that I'm using right now, did it come from like a storage facility somewhere? Like I said, those substations or whatever with all that funky shit? Or, you know, does all the electricity I use, you know, does it come from Wyoming at some power plant? Or does it come from multiple power plants, depending on supply and demand and workload on the system? You know, I don't know. But, and then the electricity box that you've got, you know, so it's the wire, and then it's got the thing, the canister, so that does something. Then it comes to the box, that does something. That's a pretty damn big box. And then it comes into my house, you know. It's like things you take for granted, the infrastructure. And when you know, it's snowing and a branch falls on a line, or a car hits a pole, you know, and the power's out, but then it's back up, you know, and is that some sort of like workaround, or do you have to, you know, because there must be some sort of workaround, unless it's like a pole that's near you where you live. But we've all seen the commercials and stuff, of the guy, on call. He kisses his family goodnight. He's got, his wife and a 4-year-old kid and a 7-year-old kid. And daddy's got to go to work, and it's a commercial for, A1 Energy Company or whatever. So, but plus a movie I watched recently with John Travolta, and those are the only characters in it that I can remember. I think he's the one A-list actor. The rest of them are, I don't know, recognize them, but that kind of, apparently that was based on a true story, if I remember correctly. I think it was. And then at the end it showed, people who had died, how he jumped on the thing to make the connection. And every time I turn on a light switch, I think about just briefly, 20,000 foot view of everything that it took to make that happen. And that copper wire, that didn't grow on a tree. That was made. That was delivered, that was dug out of the ground, by a huge excavator and transferred by a dump truck and smelted down, and they separated the elements and just all this stuff. So, and every time I take a shit, I think about, the plumbing, what it took to make that. I think about maintaining that, like how it works. It's a gravity-fed system. It's really basic. And how, how they work in buildings and whatnot. And to keep, it creates logistical issues if it was just a fall, you know what I mean? They zigzag it, apparently. And I don't know why that is. I suspect, again, I could type that in. Why are the, sewer systems and buildings designed like that? I suspect so they can keep it flowing. If it were to just fall, it would just splat into this huge pile. It's kind of like, well, duh. You got to keep it at a slow pace. Like you could make the argument, well, just decelerate it, at a certain point. No, decelerate it. Slow it down. I start talking smart, all of a sudden I'll start thinking I'm smart. I'm weird, I'm like half and half. I don't communicate very well. I don't put my thoughts into words, so I think in terms of deceleration of turds, but what I say is, the poop has to stop going so fast, but sometimes I accidentally say what I'm thinking. Well, you've got to keep the deceleration rate at a constant, application, or whatever, otherwise it doesn't matter, And the reason you do that is because, all these people in this water, in this big, huge skyscraper, has to come down to this one pipe or series of pipes, and they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and blah, blah, blah. And it's all gravity fed. And here's how you build it. You conceived it, you built it, and this is how you build it in such a way that it can be maintained. So you have to have like access ports and stuff. Little areas, like, okay, plumber comes in, breaks out his tools, and he can access this section, and just the logistics of the world and life, You sure you're not a curious being? Nah, not really. Like I said, I can be. So, I mean that humbly. I'm different. I am fucking different. You fucking sons of bitches. Fuck all you. And anybody like you. So, and that's why my future bestie and I are going to get along so great. Anyway. And like I said, we're in the weak people make hard times phase, So that plumber, who was hired, to show up in that skyscraper and go up and access the access port on the 13th floor or whatever. 13th. I mean the 12th, 10th. But he's an incompetent motherfucker. He's not going to do the job right. He's diluted. He's checking his phone. He just wants to do the minimum and then get the fuck on out of there and move on to the next job. So he'll be back, or somebody else will. But anyway. And I have no idea if that's how that works. Seems legit. That's probably how it works. How else could it work? It's one thing if you're showing up at a house, if you're a residential plumber, but if you're a commercial plumber, shit, you're wheeling in a cart, and getting in the elevator, the service elevator, for the shit like that. It's bigger and faster and can hold more and blah, blah, blah. And you go up there and, you're the big bad fucking journeyman plumber. You're going to fix that shit. Pardon the pun. Oh, gosh. That was totally accident. Anyway, 21 minutes, Shit. Logistics, baby, logistics. How do you make it work? How do you make it work safely? How do you make it work? How do you adapt different situations? Well, we got the basic plan, but now we got to do shit. And just whatever.